Would love to be someone who plays a part in having women take a more active role in leadership everywhere in the world. I would really like to be somebody who's responsible for getting women over what I call the leadership threshold, which is that doorway they stand in. They know they could do it, they won't do it because they're afraid their friends are going to laugh at them or people are going to criticize them or they're too vulnerable to be visible or whatever the reason is. I want to help people through that. And if I can help 10 women rise to whatever they aspire to, and it can be leadership in their community, it can be leadership on the world stage. That's really my mission going forward.
Welcome to She Coaches Coaches, the podcast where we have thoughtful, honest conversations about what it really takes to build a thriving coaching business. I'm your host, Candy Motzek, and before building my business, I spent years as a senior corporate leader. Now, today, I work with coaches who are smart, well trained, and deeply capable, and who want clarity about how to grow in a way that feels aligned and financially sustainable. On this show, I sit down with successful coaches to explore the real decisions behind their success, how they got started, what shifted as they grew, and the mindset and business choices that helped them gain momentum without burning out. Whether you're early in your coaching journey or refining a business you've already built, She Coaches Coaches is here to offer perspective, confidence, and grounded insight to support your next chapter. To learn more about how I work with people, go to my website, stepintosuccessnow.com. And now let's dive in. Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of She Coaches Coaches. I have a special guest here for you today, and she has been on the show before. I'm so excited to be having another conversation with you. Let me introduce you to Nancy O'Keefe. She's a certified human design business and leadership coach, and she's on a mission to encourage women to step into the foreground and lead with their light. Everyone is a leader, and I can prove it, is what she says, and I know it's true. It's based on her new book, Lead with Your Light: Individual Empowerment, Influence, and Impact with Human Design. Nancy is a certified executive coach from the College of Executive Coaching. She holds an MBA from Babson College in entrepreneurship. Nancy, welcome back to the show. I am so glad that you're here.
Hi, Candy. It's so good to be here again.
So tell me, what is exciting? Like, what are you most excited about in your work right now?
I'm most excited about my new book, which just came out last week, as a matter of fact. And it rose to number one on the bestseller list, which I was very excited about. And I just am on a mission to get the word out to women. We're, as you probably know, because you're familiar with human design, we're transitioning from one energetic era to another. And the new era is all about self trust, intuitive influence, and really more feminine than the energy we've been under for the last 400 years. And I'm on a mission to help women see they're already leaders and to step up in whatever area of their life they're excited to take a new position in.
What prompted you to write this book? Like, what's the underlying message there?
Actually, this is a funny story. I wrote the first part of this book 11 years ago. And when I finished it, I said to myself, what does this have to do with my business? And struggle as I might to get the marketing down to help my business, I just couldn't make it happen. And about 7 or 8 months ago, I got a message in the middle of the night, read your book, which I got up and did and finish it. So I wrote the second half. And I just had to have the journey about around human design to really be able to complete it.
Wow. So it was, I mean, the book has been in production for 11 years, essentially. How do you hear that message in the middle of the night? This is something that I've been seeing a lot with clients and with people that I'm interviewing. This, I got a message. How does it show up for you?
I hear voices. They actually talk to me, a word here or there. It's not like we don't have a conversation or anything, but I'll wake up and I will have heard something either in a dream or sometimes when I'm lying awake, I'll hear things too. So I feel very blessed to be in touch with my spirit guides or whoever it is that's talking to me. I'm not quite sure who it is, but they're very, very much involved in what I do. And I lean on them a lot for my intuitive guidance when I work with my clients.
That is really part of the new way of doing business. Less bro marketing, more intuitive, aligned, connected, and there's a real holistic feeling there. Do you find that too?
Absolutely. And you know what? The big deal is self trust. Because we've been taught most all of our lives not to trust what we know to be true and to depend on others, do things a certain way, ask outside opinions. Nothing wrong with getting advice and help from others. But at the end of the day, you need to use your own decision making authority to make sure you're making a choice that's aligned with you because nobody knows the answer to that like you do. And that's gonna be a very big forefront theme in this new era.
With somebody who hasn't practiced trusting themselves or listening to that internal voice, what's the first step that you recommend for them?
I would say the first step is for them to really get in touch through human design with their decision making center. Now, we talked right before we got on about the fact that you're a pure generator, meaning you have a sacral decision making center. I'm an emotional generator. My decision making center is in the solar plexus. So we have very different decision styles. You get an immediate yes, no when you tune in. I have to wait after I get my yes, no, I've got to wait for some period of time to be sure that that's going to stay a yes or a no. So everybody has a different way of going about it. But I think the most important thing to note is that none of us make a decision in our heads like we've been taught to do using logic or weighing the pros and cons. That isn't the way to do it. So I think learning about your decision making center in human design is key.
So, first thing is find out what your human design is and then start to focus on some of those basics and play with them. I think is essentially it. Like experiment with it. Work, right?
Yes, and actually, one of the ways that a pure generator can experiment, you respond, as all generators do, to yes no questions. So make a list of yes no questions. Have a good friend ask you the questions. Make the first few questions that you absolutely know the answer to, hands down. And then the last few questions you really want the answers to, and see how your body reacts because we do have to wake it up and be a little bit more conscious of it because we've kind of been taught to dumb it down and use other methods to make our decisions. And practice makes perfect.
Like this. So practice, try it. It's not so hard and fast. Like you've got an MBA, right? So you know what the right answer is, the top answer, what you're supposed to do. And to change how we learn and how we grow to something that's a self reference and what's right for us, as opposed to a right answer, is a really different approach. I know that one of the things that I've started doing, because I am a pure generator, and I don't know what you think about this, is write a could do. These are the things I could do, to dos. And then as the day progresses, I'll go and I'll look at that list and go, which one of these feels like a yes? And I don't do all of them, but I kind of put the possibility out there instead of trying to force myself, which is a habit I'm breaking. Instead of trying to force myself to do everything, especially when some of those things might not be the most aligned for me right now.
Absolutely. Kudos to you for doing that.
It's my
Now, we
experiment.
all have things we have to do. For example, we're rolling up on tax season. We all have to file our taxes. I don't think that's anything any of us really like to do. Aside from those really hard and fast things that have to be done, any of the things you feel like you should do deserve a questioning look because you're right. I approach my day similarly. I put everything on my calendar that I have to do. And when it comes time to do it, unless it's a client appointment, I ask myself, do I really want to do this right now? And sometimes I'll cross it off the list. Sometimes I'll push it to another day or later that day, depending on how I feel.
Love that. So, was there a moment where you realized that human design and that this was the work that really mattered to you? Can you put your finger on one moment where it just clicked?
Yes, I think I can. I've always been in the business of helping to develop people's strengths, and I've always used assessments, Myers-Briggs, DISC, FIRO-B, so many of them. But when this came across my radar, I took a quick look at it and it looked, oh my gosh, so complicated, and I just passed it by. But it kept showing up. And finally I really came to believe that it kept showing up because I was meant to do it, and I think that was the moment that I realized I was meant to do this work.
I love that, Nancy, especially with the idea that sometimes we think that we kind of missed the boat. But, in this example, it kept showing up. The boat went by a couple of times and then you didn't sort of completely lose out on the opportunity because you weren't quite ready for it. And I think we get to give ourselves a little grace around that. Like that, if it is right, it's not a once or done. The universe wants you to have this, they want you to experience this, and it will come back around.
Absolutely. And another thing to remember is, we have this idea that we've got to know what we want to do for work and we've got to have all the decisions made around the time we either go to or graduate from college. Well, I didn't really run into human design until I was in my 60s. And I will tell you that most of our life experience is necessary. We just like the book, I had to gather all this experience before I could write the rest of the book. And if we try to get everything decided too early, we miss the opportunity to gain all the wisdom and all the experience that comes as we live life. So we have to be open to the fact that we're going to evolve and change, and we need to grow into that and not be so, steadfast and fixed on what we're going to do too early. It's never too late. Never.
I like that message. It kind of it reminds me that it's not all about the right or wrong, you know,
Mm.
that it's never too late. Looking towards the future. I mean, we've talked a lot about how you've evolved, how you came into this, but for you looking forward a year, 3 years, what is something deeply meaningful that you would really love to accomplish?
I would love to be someone who plays a part in having women take a more active role in leadership everywhere in the world. I would really like to be somebody who's responsible for getting women over what I call the leadership threshold, which is that doorway they stand in. They know they could do it, but they hesitate. They won't do it because they're afraid, their friends are going to laugh at them or people are going to criticize them or, they're too vulnerable to be visible or whatever the reason is. I want to help people through that. And if I can help 10 women rise to whatever they aspire to, and it can be leadership in their community, it can be leadership on the world stage, it doesn't matter. That's really my mission going forward. And I will just continue to do that work as long as I'm able.
I love that. How do you define leadership? I know you sort of gave me a little bit of an example, but since the name of your book is Lead, includes that word lead, there's a deeper meaning here. Can you tell me about that?
It's really all about influence. And we're all leaders because if you've ever recommended a book or a movie to somebody, you influence them. We influence people all the time. Leadership has a very parochial definition in the current world. We look at it as something that's only for a select few. It has to be developed. It's something that, you're invited into. And I believe that leadership lives in each and every one of us. And I see that after doing hundreds of human design readings. I see it in everybody's chart. And it doesn't have to be developed, it just has to be awakened. And then you have to make the choice to want to be a leader. Just because you have those skills and gifts doesn't mean you have to use them. It's a choice. And I think rather than have it be an invitation and have people think, oh, well, I wasn't picked to be a leader, so I can't do it. No, you make the choice. Some people will want to step up and be leaders, some people will choose not to. And that's perfectly fine. It's really the choice.
Yeah. And also, it may be a yes, but not now for some
Yes.
of these women, right? Like some of them, there's a difference between not ready and making a different choice, right?
Yes.
What do you think is going to stand in your way of doing that, creating that kind of impact? And the reason that I ask is because the people who listen to this show, they're coaches, most of them are midlife, they've had some success in their life, and now they want to do something different. And so they're often at that crossroads. So when they hear what somebody else thinks might get in the way, it gives them a perspective on their journey. So what do you think might get in your way?
Well, the only thing I can think of that will get in my way is perhaps my health. That could be an issue. I am really committed to this. And even 5 years ago, I couldn't have done this because I wasn't firm enough in my convictions to be this visible and out loud about it. And I know that my beliefs might not be for everyone. People might not always agree with me, but this is what I believe to be true. And I am really committed to that conviction. So I really don't see much getting in my way. I'm over the getting in my own way stage in my life. I have gotten past the point where I really care about what people think. Of course, we all want to be liked, and I would never do anything to be mean and distasteful to people, but I no longer care. People agree with me, great. If they don't, okay, I'm not for them. A lot of times women are very focused on being accepted and being liked, and I am just past that. I can tell you ladies that are younger, I'm going to be 73 in May, and you get to a point in your life where you are a little less concerned with that and you have a mission and you realize you don't have a lot of time left. You've certainly burned at least, you know, half to three-quarters of your time. And if you want to do what you set out to do, then you've got to get to it and you can't let anything get in your way.
And there's this time in our life where something shifts from wanting to like ourselves and respect ourselves more than getting that outer pat on the head, right? Like,
Mm.
honestly, I don't really care if people like what I do either. Do I respect it? Am I in integrity with my mission? Do I wake up in the morning and go, yeah, this is what I'm meant to do. I'm pleased with myself. And we don't have to wait until our midlife to be there. So if you're, 40ish or you're, late 30s and you think you got to wait, don't start to refer to yourself, right? Like I had been there earlier, I wasn't, but I'm glad I'm here now.
Well, and I think that's one of the beauties of human design is it can show you what's in your design. This is all in my design. And when you see it, you realize, "Whoa, what am I waiting for? Here it is. This is what I've been created to do."
What idea, like one idea you hope listeners will carry away with them after this conversation that's going to really be impactful? What's the one idea?
I guess the biggest idea for me is that you are already a leader. It's inside you. Wake it up and choose whether or not you want to use it.
I love that. And it's more than just that sentence, right? It's about the leader, it's about the choice, it's about waking up. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's great, Nancy. So I know that you must have a wonderful free gift to offer to the listeners, and I would love to hear about it. I would also love if you would share how people can find out more about you and the work that you do.
Yes, thank you. I can be found at Nancy O'Keefe, Okee, F as in Frank, coaching.com. And when you go to my website on the homepage, there'll be a big blue button where you can get, by putting in your birth information, a free leadership report, which will show you exactly how leadership is existing in your human design. So you can see exactly your leadership characteristics and it's quite a beefy report. It gives you a lot of information about each and every one of your characteristics. So there it is for you in black and white. You need your date of birth, time of birth, place of birth. And once you have that, you just put it in and it produces a report which you can download.
That's so exciting. What a great gift. Gosh, I enjoyed our conversation, Nancy. Really glad that you were a guest on my show again. As what I'm noticing is there is a lot more people being aware of human design and really starting to lean into that. So I know that your book is at the right time. You are here at the right time. And I'm so pleased that we got a chance to speak.
Yes, thank you. I'm so happy to be on your show again. Thanks for having me. And I love your show.
All right, everyone, that is this week's show. Go and check out Nancy and check out her website. Go and download that leadership report. Find out your unique leadership style. And also check out her book. I'll put the link for her book in the show notes as well. Really appreciate you joining us. And I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did. Have a great week, and we'll be back and speak to you again on the next episode. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of She Coaches Coaches. If this conversation resonated, take a moment to reflect on what stood out and how it connects to where you are right now. Coaching businesses grow through clarity and thoughtful choices, not pressure or hustle. If you'd like more support, you can learn more at stepintosuccessnow.com. I'll put the link in the episode notes. And if you found this episode helpful, I'd appreciate it if you would share it with a peer or colleague who would enjoy it as well. I appreciate you being here. Have a great day.